Thanks, Adam. Distinguished rabbis and dear friends. I'm not going to be talking the spirituality, quoting from Bibles, magnificent tractates. Mine is going to be a much more secular presentation. Because I thought to myself, what can I say that hasn't been said before? And quite frankly, nothing. But it would be quite interesting if you knew what it's like to live as a 105-year-old, as I have lived in my father's house over the past few days. So let me say that firstly, I'm going to express that there's a movie called All of Me. It's with Lily Tomlin and Steve Martin. It goes back to the 80s, I think. Could be the 90s. But it's a pretty funny film. It's one of those movies where there's an exchange of bodies. And Lily Tomlin plays a very, very rich lady. She is wanting to put her spiritual soul into a young body, but it gets, as usual in these things, confused, and she ends up in a lawyer's body instead. It's a very funny film, you should see it. But there is a scene in it where she is crying. She's crying about herself. And she's got a box, which you think of tissues, but instead of tissues, she's using lace hankies, like hundreds of them, right? And you think, gee, that's extravagant. She opens a cupboard and there's hundreds of boxes exactly the same with tons of these lace hankies. Why do I express this to you? Because you go to my dad's house and he has multiples of everything. So much so that it just comes out of your ears. And you think, look, why is this Costco on steroids in my dad's house? The reason is because he has system. He has an ability to think through things in his daily life that enable him to live by himself. What does that mean? It means that there are duplicates of things low down. It means that he can reach for things quickly. It means that the best of everything, particularly cleaning agents, is at his disposal as well. You know, with my father, last thing at night, which could be 11:30, 12 o'clock, he wipes down the benches. And he wipes them down with detergent, you know, to make sure that it's all going to be clean for the next day. And particularly, he's concerned as a JP that somebody comes into the house, they are going to see a clean house. They're going to see something that represents him, perhaps also the Jewish community. And this brings me to another aspect of his age. You know, Perth has a very interesting demographic. It is just quite remarkable. We've been here since 1966, and I must tell you that there are more doctors in Perth that are Jewish per capita, I reckon, than anywhere in the world. It's absolutely amazing. I would say too that Jewish people are generally, they aspire. It doesn't matter the profession, and maybe it's because, you know, they had the syndrome in other generations here. With my son, the doctor, I want a doctor in the family. But the bottom line is that the medical profession is so strongly represented. At one point or another, anybody within the medical fraternity has been bar mitzvahed by my dad. So he knows them all. Most people have to wait months to see a specialist. He usually just lifts the phone and says, Sam, I've got a problem. It should be Houston, I've got a problem, but it's Sam, I've got a problem. I want to come and see you, I need to see you. Usually what happens is not only is it within hours, but doctors go to his house. Specialists that you can't get to see for months, he's able to see very quickly. And it's because of the respect and admiration that the medical fraternity have. You know, my father has done a great deal with secular things in Western Australia, as much as the Jewish community. He has been president of the Perth Dental Board, for example. That's a strange one. He's been part of the Karrakatta Cemetery Board. And that's very unusual because you don't have any time a situation where there's a minister of religion that is put on that board. But the minister liked my father so much that he wanted the wisdom to be imparted, and he put in a long time there. The next thing I would like to say is that there are umpteen certificates and memorabilia in my father's house. Just reminiscent he can at any time to see the different things due to acknowledgement of his efforts, both in terms of Jewish circles and non-Jewish circles, from Perth but also from national levels as well as international levels. So the other aspect that has kept him going is, of course, the technology. And I say that in medicine, of course, most of its parts are the same, but some aren't genuine at all. They're quite frankly stuff that keep you going in 2023, as opposed to what we all have to cope with. He doesn't, because his pacemaker, he's already got a new one because he outlived the old one, and now he is getting that checked. But it keeps him going. His work keeps him going, and my father has a very unusual, as the rabbis have explained and speakers before me this evening, a very uncanny desire to understand technology, to understand, I think, things that are new. Black Friday, he bought an air fryer, right? Because he wanted to get there with his food quicker, right? It says a lot about the way he thinks, right? And also, of course, when normal people are on the computer, they write in English. He can write it in Ivrit as well as English. And he is obviously, always upset and wanting everything quickly when something doesn't quite work out. But the Schaefers have been just so generous with the technology, his phone, his computers, the people of IT that help him to understand how to deal with all the different facets of what that represents. Well, I don't want to just ramble on and on. I wanted you to have a little bit of a point of difference. I'm here with my daughter, and unfortunately my wife couldn't come. I apologise for my emotion. Perth represents a great deal of our life, and it makes me emotional in context of seeing how many people he has touched. But at the same time, our love is for you all, and you should understand that. On behalf of our family, we wish you continued success at the Perth Hebrew congregation, as other congregations. Marcus's congregation at Dianella, it's a wonderful kahila, as well as other congregations that are in Perth. let this congregation and all of Perth Jewry aspire. Thank you.